So apparently I'm live and I haven't done this before in a while. So I'm trying to see how this turns out. So this is sort of like a trial type period. So originally I was going to do this article. The article was about California bars. They're starting to demand that people come in showing proof that they've been vaccinated. So I'm just basically going to talk about that a little bit. I believe that this was coming, and I believe a lot of other organizations or establishments are going to be doing the same thing, where they're going to be wanting proof that people have been vaccinated or proof showing that people are not infected or are not high risk for infecting others somewhere and along the lines of that. And so this is basically a trial video because I don't normally do the live videos like this. I did at one time and I had stopped doing it and just started doing like these other videos where they're already pre-recorded and then they're just uploaded. And so this one is more like live type video. So later, as I began to get used to doing this again, then I'll come out with some more other things that might be a little more interesting. But I think that's interesting enough as it is, but it might be disappointing for some, especially those who have kind of like been on the fence about getting vaccinated, and then some who don't believe in any of it. But what's been happening is there's here in South LA, there's been a surge of the Delta virus, and the fear is that the hospitals will end up filling up again, but it'll be more people that are either one of two. There'll be people who were not vaccinated and they're really vulnerable to this contagion, or it'll be people who were vaccinated and somehow that maybe they've exposed themselves around people, but they may not be as sick as the others. And that might be due to getting vaccinated. And so that's what it sounded like. It sounded like a lot of stuff is going on. So it's been pretty crazy. Um, we're approaching a weekend, of course. Friday is like the start of the weekend. Um, yeah, so anyway, I'm going to read this. I don't even know, you might not can see the article. I can see it, but you might not can see it. You can probably just see this logo here that is really bland and, and it has no attraction. Um, so anyway, it says California bars, they start demanding proof of vaccinations as the Delta surges. So will vax requirements spread? And so this is by Andrew Romano out of West Coast Correspondent. And so this is a COVID-19 update. And so every American bar goer knows the ritual. So flash a valid ID in the door to prove that you're old enough to get in the bar. But now it might be changing. But as the hyper-contagious Delta variant drives yet another nationwide surge in COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths, more and more customers, particularly in California, are now being required to show an additional document of their COVID 19 vaccination card. So that is real, that is happening. And so, those of you, and now that we're going through a summer and the weekend, and a lot of these people were excited about reopening and going to bars, well, that might be a thing they got to reconsider. And those who can't are being turned away. And so that's what's happening. So we just started it because it's clear that there's just a segment of the population that is not vaccinated. So this is by Janet Clyde, and the owner of San Francisco's Vesuvio Cafe. This is what she told San Francisco Gate this week. And so it was really until this settles down, that's what they're trying to do. So I think it's definitely safer for our staff and the clientele if we limit the indoors to people who have proof of vaccination. So probably what will happen is they'll have an extension where there's outdoors to people who don't necessarily have proof, but you're outdoors. And people who actually can show proof, they can go inside. And so that's probably what they might try to get clever and do something like that. So I don't know. It's what it's sounding like. So the concept of the vaccine passports isn't new. For months, experts have debated the merits and the mechanics of the vaccination verification, as certain states, most likely liberal ones, have created their own optional digital vaccination cards. For other states, mostly conservative ones, have preemptively banned businesses from requiring any proof of vaccination. So, sensing how divisive a top down policy would be for both the Biden administration and Democratic governors, they have refused to mandate the vaccine passports. And so that's basically what's going on. So you see, at first, most businesses they followed suit, especially as the US fully reopened this spring and the pandemic seemed to wane, but Delta is starting to change the calculation. So over the last 2 weeks, COVID cases have started to skyrocket by nearly 200% nationwide. And so hospitalizations are up more than 50%, and the deaths are ticking up too as well. So the Delta spreads, it is becoming increasingly clear. Um, Breakthrough infections are happening as well, meaning people who have been vaccinated with not one but two shots and fully vaccinated people are almost never, they never wind up in the hospital, but they can get sick and spread the virus to others as well. So you can still spread the virus even though you've been vaccinated, and you may not end up in the hospital or sick, dying, but you could still get infected. And so they aren't as vanishingly rare as the experts had hoped. So small business owners are rethinking their policies as a result. So I don't know anybody who was requiring vaccine cards at first, but only most strict people were doing that. So this has been Blayman, who's the head of the San Francisco Bar Owner Alliance, that told the San Francisco Gate this. And so, just in the last 24 hours, so I've seen a lot of people changing their tunes since the spread of all of this stuff. Maybe they know people who they might be close to some people. I'm adding this in there. Maybe a possibility to these people, the reason why they're changing their tune, they might know somebody that's gotten sick finally. So I think going back to the article, we're in the middle of a big flux. And so for now, that shift is mostly concentrated in big liberal and majority vaccinated cities. So LA, the new COVID cases have more than quadrupled since July 4th. At least 17 bars have started to require proof of vaccinations in the recent days, and one local fitness studio has been making waves with its no vax, no workout policy. And so nobody's going to scare me off because we cannot slide backwards, the owner told KCRW. So it's not good for our country. It's not good for the health and safety of everyone. So if you do not want to get vaccinated, that's fine. But you're not going to come into my facility. And so it's just the way it is. So that is what is going on right now. So get ready. It is going to be some real controversial stuff that's going to happen because I've heard some people say some stories that you would believe. So these people are going to have to decide, do you want to just stand on these stories of what you believe in, and with which I kind of feel like they don't really believe in it as an excuse not to get vaccinated for some of those people. Some of those people do believe in some stuff. So it depends. It's a give or take situation. But as a result of the efforts to gain steam in New York City, there are signs from San Francisco's vaccine requirements that may become a citywide standard now. So earlier this week, San Francisco Bar Owner Alliance, which represents 500 bars, told San Francisco Chronicle that it's weighing a vaccine verification initiative. So that's how serious this is going to get. And so you knew this was coming. So we are anecdotally seeing a lot of vaccinated people come down with mild to medium cases of COVID. So Bleeman, the group's leader, said in an interview in the San Francisco Gate. And so this is what I was saying prior to even getting here, that maybe they see some people that they know that they're close to, that are starting to get infected, that maybe they didn't see that before in the beginning, but now they're starting to see it. And so I kind of see the writing on the wall, and I think that if we get ahead of it, it's not like we're shutting down or anything, and we're just saying you've got to have the vaccine. So, when asked if the city might adopt a similar mandate or recommendation of all businesses, the mayor's office said it's exploring all those options. And so, I want to be very, very clear. Mayor London Breed said that Monday at the press conference, there are a lot of folks who still need to be vaccinated, and I don't want everyone else who did their duty to get vaccinated to suffer. And so, vaccination customers have largely welcomed the new policies, which help shield from getting sick and transmitting the virus while allowing them to enjoy an everyday freedom that vaccinations was supposed to restore. And so, but the backlash is beginning to bubble up on social media, where angry and presumably unvaccinated commenters insist on vaccination requirements violate the rights of the HIPAA, which is a federal law that aims to protect citizens' privacy. And so it's by restricting how health information can be disclosed. So you should be ashamed of supporting and endorsing medical apartheid and modern day segregation, one naysayer wrote on the Instagram account at an LA bar and music venue that recently started to require vaccinations. And so it was viewed here, Gold Diggers LA, something like that. It's on Twitter. And so, given the rising COVID case counts in Los Angeles County, Gold Diggers' current COVID-19 policy requires guests to be vaccinated or have tested negative for the COVID-19 upon arrival and prior to entering the building. So, this is a card like the sign that they have up at one of these bars. So, all the guests must present a photo ID along with proof that they meet the CDC definition of being fully vaccinated against COVID 19 or proof of a negative PCR COVID test within 72 hours, either in the form of a physical vaccination card or a digital photo of a card or a test result. So we will continue to monitor per CDC and LA County guidelines and statistics in the effort to keep our guests and staff safe. And so this is where it's coming to, y'all. So just get prepared. So the HIPAA complaint doesn't hold water, according to the legal experts, because unvaccinated people can always refuse to share their vaccination status or visit a different establishment instead. Furthermore, the HIPAA rules only prevent certain health entities from improperly disclosing the health information. They don't bar private companies from asking if you're vaccinated. So, to accommodate unvaccinated customers, many participating businesses also say that they will accept the negative COVID test result that was from the last 72 hours in lieu of the vaccination card. So they will accept that. Others allow the unvaccinated to sit outside. That's what I was thinking. That's probably what some places will probably end up doing. Resistance to the vaccine requirements at the bars and other businesses, however, will likely intensify if the Delta continues to surge like it does and the policy starts to spread beyond liberal metro policies, metropolises. And so in late June, before Delta took off nationally, just 39% of the U.S. adults favored restaurants and bars requiring proof of the COVID 19 vaccine for indoor dining or drinking, according to a Yahoo News YouGov poll conducted at the time. So another 45% were opposed to the 16% were unsure. So most vaccinated Americans, 54% approve of the idea, as did most Democrats. 61% most unvaccinated Americans, 65%, and Republicans, 73% disapprove. So the battle lines, in other words, are drawn. But while yet another COVID 19 culture war may seem inevitable, it's also impossible, or also possible, not impossible, but possible, that some number of unvaccinated Americans, particularly the younger, less hesitant ones, who simply thought, why bother with getting vaccinated once cases started to fall? They figured, let's not get vaccinated so everything is fine, it's back to normal. So we'll now decide that they rather get a jab than see the drinking or dining options dwindle as the risk of catching and spreading the Delta soars. And so in June, Yahoo News YouGov poll, 15% of the unvaccinated adults said that they would be more likely to get vaccinated if doing so gave me easier access to things like travel, sports, entertainment. So it's like the quality of life is taken from you if you don't get some proof that you're, COVID free, or you have some kind of vaccination proof of something. And so people don't want that quality of life taken away from them. So they would probably be more apt to get something in hand showing that they're not infected or whatever. So including 20% between the ages of 18 to 29 years old, and 19% 30 to 44 years old would do this. So last week, the French president, Emmanuel Macron, announced that anyone who wants to patronize bars, cafes, restaurants, shopping malls in this country will soon have to provide proof of vaccination or a negative test. And so more than 1.3 million people made vaccine appointments the same day. That's how powerful that whole thing was. According to the Associated Press, a record in a country where hesitancy is nearly as high as it is in the US. So most of them were under the age of 35. And so that's pretty much how it went. So anyway, I don't know if this video is actually maybe live streaming me. I guess it is live streaming my voice or whatever. And so I'm just testing it out, and I'm gonna end this live stream and I'm gonna listen to it myself and see how it turned out. Just if this is really just a trial period, is what I was doing. I was trying to try this out to see how this turns out. And so this was not anything heavy duty in the beginning. So I was just trying to see where this would lead. So maybe later down the road, I will do some other stuff that is a little more interesting, and maybe the scene and background that you're seeing might be a little more appealing than what it is, or at least, to have a different thumbnail or whatever. But so anyway, anywho's, so I'm gonna let this video go. For right now. And this is one of those trial videos, but it is about the California bars demanding, it's sort of like about the bars that are now demanding that people show proof. And this is not just here in California. It's starting to happen everywhere because of the surge. They're also talking about we might be going into a fourth wave of COVID because of the surge of the Delta variant. And then there's a couple of other viruses that are out there that they've been talking about and warning about. And so those are the things that are pushing them to really advocate for these vaccination proof, vaccination or proof that you aren't sick, or you're not infected and you're not high risk. So having said that, I'm going to let this video go right here. And then I'm going to check it out myself and see how this turned out. And then later down the road, when I get savvy, then I'm gonna add some other stuff to it. But a lot is going on. I don't think this virus thing is gonna go away anytime soon. I will say that when I end this, and I believe it's gonna start what you call. They said the COVID-19 wars, culture wars with the vaccinated and the unvaccinated and the believers. Vaccination and the non-believers and all this. And so it's already started. It started when the whole thing has started. And then there's the maskers and the anti-maskers. It's just starting a whole new era of wars. So anyway, with having said that, I'm gonna let this video video though. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for listening.